raise your glass up high. Turn it up, it's time. Tall boy on the line. Loud breeze, they will laugh. Raise your glass up high.
Welcome back to episode 326 of the Tall Boy Radio podcast. And as we always say, who knows where it goes when the beer flows? Well, that beer is flowing in a mysterious direction as we're going in search of geocaches once more. The more astute of you will remember, we did an episode not so long ago where we were joined by Scott Birch from the Geocaching podcast, and we reached out to the community. We really enjoyed that episode. We're going to be doing a couple more. And tonight, we're joined by a man who does a little bit of geocaching, does a little bit of video making. If you've ever seen him on YouTube, I don't doubt you will have. But Jason, or the Halemeister, as you're more popularly known, did you want to say hello and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Jason, also known as Halemeister. I'm from Northern Illinois here in the United States of America, and I've been geocaching since 2009, and so far have found 24,000 geocaches. So keep adding to that number each and every time I go out, and I like to meet people and be social and find things out there. So, yeah, have a good time with it.
24,000.
Yeah, there's people out there with a lot more, that's for sure. But yeah, 24,000, and yeah, I mean, I've been doing it for a while, so I mean, you kind of expect that kind of thing. And I like to travel around and explore new areas and find their geocaches there.
Incredible. And how many states have you visited then while you've been geocaching?
So far 41 out of the 50. I'd like to get all 50 eventually, but so far 41.
Wow. That is really, really impressive. That is, it's commitment to, well, is it a hobby? Is a hobby the right word for it?
There's kind of a thing there. It could be a hobby. It could be a sport. It's, what is it exactly? Is it an obsession? It could be all those things, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. I joined the Facebook page with the idea of doing an episode about it because it was something, truthfully, I'd heard of. We've done something similar. We've done a light version of it, shall we say, while we were staying in a place called Centre Parks. Our UK listeners will know what that is. And it wasn't on the geocaching app. It's something that's set up for the park purposes. And we really enjoyed it. And I wanted to find out a little bit more about it. I didn't know enough. So we thought the best way we do it, if I'm going to find out about it, well, guess what? Our listeners are going to find out about it as well. So
Yes.
like we reached out, and I tell you what, it's a large community online, isn't it?
Yeah, worldwide geocachers. I mean, there's a lot of people that don't do it very often, but I think there's like 6 or 7 million accounts worldwide. Of course, the number that do it fairly frequently is a lot smaller than that. But yeah, we're all over the world, mostly in the United States and Canada, and over in Europe as well too. There where you're at, and a lot in Germany and stuff like that. I haven't had the pleasure of going over there yet, but hopefully someday I will.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. Be good to do it. As we were just saying there in the green room at the start, something, I think in Europe, it's a little bit easier to travel to another country because there's quite a lot of them quite nearby. America being as large as it is, it's a little bit more challenging. And there's enough of your country just to travel around and visit without the need to go abroad.
That's true. Yeah, we got quite a different, vast array of things from sea to shining sea, as they say here in America. We got the deserts and we got the mountains and everything else here.
Amen. I've been to America a number of times, and it is one of my favorite countries to visit. Illinois, I'm afraid, is one of the states that has evaded me so far, but who knows when we'll get to tick off that box. So just going back to yourself there for a second, geocaching, how did you get into it?
Oh man, it's kind of a funny story. I was recently laid off from work, and it was 2009, and married to my wife here, but we didn't have any kids at the time, but one was on the way real soon, and newly laid off from work, like I said. And Facebook was new to me anyway. It hadn't been around that long, but what was I going to do with my new found free time? And so I took up a Facebook account and started socializing on there. And I ran across some people that I hadn't met before on Facebook, and one guy started talking about geocaching a lot. And so I just kind of watched the conversation between him and his friends. Um, And eventually the curiosity got to me enough where I asked him, okay, what is this geocaching you guys are talking about? They directed me to the website geocaching.com, and from there I set up an account, and within a couple months I decided to finally go out and find my own. So yeah, it's that's how I started out. It was very indirectly from somebody I didn't know. Lived in Minnesota, which is a 6 hour drive from here, and yeah, it's kind of an unorthodox version of being introduced to geocaching, but that's how it happened for me.
Cool. And how long before you were hooked?
Oh, it was a week tops after my first 4 or 5 finds or something like that. I was hooked, knowing that they were all around me, and I could go at any time and just go find some and explore areas that, even though they were 5-10 minutes away from me, I had never heard of this park or that park, or this special area. But geocaching brought me there. And I started quickly realizing that geocaching was my guide to areas that I'd never been to before, even though they were so close to home. And I was learning about my home area through geocaching.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So I had a go, since we did the last episode, I thought, the only real way to find out about it is to go out there and do it. So I downloaded the app, paid for the paid version, which to be fair, £30 a year it is in the UK. I think it's $30 in the US, something like that. Not at all unreasonable.
Right.
And I clicked on it, great to look at my house from the satellite image. You've never seen it that way before. So that was quite interesting. And literally there was 2 minutes walk from my house. And that blew my mind. So I told the kids about it. It's like, yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to do it on the weekend. This is a Tuesday. I downloaded the app. I was thinking, man, I want to get out there. And then there's one literally just around the corner from me. You
Yeah.
want to wait till the weekend, but I did. I held off, and then we took a walk around my hometown, and then we did one the following weekend, a little area that we've been to before, Westport Lake. But like you say, you do learn a little bit more about the area by doing it, don't you?
You
So
sure do.
we visited it, and it took us off the beaten trail. It was a little place called Westport Lake, which is, about half an hour's drive from here, maybe less, 20 minutes drive from here. And we took a wander around. We saw places and we saw things there that we'd never seen before, because whoever had kindly set up those geocaches had put them in places to take us off that main path, just walking around the lake like we do aimlessly, or to ride the bikes around the lake. And it took us to areas where we'd never seen before. Is that part of it then? Is that the whole idea, so that you get to experience areas that you thought you knew and see a new side to them?
You speak to any geocacher that's been doing it for, I wouldn't say any length of time, but like I said, I was brand new and it happened to me. So it can't happen to new cachers. But yeah, a lot of people will say that it shows you places that you've never been to before, or that you didn't know of before. That can be said for your home area, places that you're very frequent quite a bit, or it could be new areas. For example, I have some friends right here in the chat room. One here is from North Dakota, and I would have never had any reason to go to North Dakota, especially his small little town. But I was there twice now, and it's all because of geocaching. So I'm up there in North Dakota exploring his area, all because of geocaching as well.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so as you mentioned there in the chat area, so chronically tired mom says, "Hey Jason, we have another one here." I'm going to butcher your name. I do apologize. Damaji goes geocaching, says
Very
hello.
good. Yes, yes, Demaji.
Was that
Yes,
close? Was
yeah,
that close?
that's right on. That's right on.
I'll take it. I'll take it. And there's another one that says, "Try cash US chat 8636." He
Yeah.
said, "I've enjoyed watching his geocaching videos and visiting with Jason." So there's the thing. So the other aspect to the geocaching that you do is you are a content creator as well, and you create videos. So how long after you started geocaching did you start doing the videos?
It was about 8 years or so. I was geocaching for about 8 years, and finally decided after watching enough of other content creators, it was time to turn the camera on myself. I had done many different um, small jobs, I guess you could say, like um, wedding videos, and graduation videos, and even some funeral videos, slideshows and stuff like that for people that I was like, I think I can do what they're doing, and I'm just going to try it out. And it's been on since then. And of course, it's been a learning process ever since 2017. And I've learned quite a bit and changed the way I've done some things. But yeah, I think I put out maybe 300 or 400 videos since then. So yeah, it's been a wild adventure, I guess.
I mean, that's a pretty impressive tally of videos to put out there. I don't mind telling you. So, as I was saying to you just before we started, like I say, I put this post in the Facebook group. We got a little bit of interest actually. So we arranged 2 episodes, and yourself had contacted, and obviously we said we don't normally do 3 videos or 3 episodes rather on a topic, but I was then sat down and we had Scott Burks on, which was the first episode we did, the guy who does the geocaching podcast. And I was doing a little bit of research because I thought this seems really interesting. I just signed up for the app, wanted to find out a little bit more. And I just searched geocaching in YouTube. And I was watching a video and I thought, this name sounds a little bit familiar. And it was your good self. So we got back in touch and said, listen, we've made a mistake. We need to have you on the episode. And, we need to be talking about geocaching. Because the one thing I will say about your videos is you have a very natural way of talking to the camera. It's almost like the screen isn't there between you. You're having a conversation with me. This is what we're going to go have a look at. And this is what we're going to find. And this is where we're going to explore today. So did that take you a little while to sort of hone your skills?
Oh yeah, big time. And even though it looks natural, let me tell you, there's a lot that I leave in the cutting room floor when I shoot them videos because a lot of mess ups, a lot of bloopers, and every now and then I'll put out a blooper reel video. I'll collect the bloopers and put them in a special folder and release that for some hilarity at one point or another. But yeah, when I go back and look at my old videos, I'm like, ooh, that's hard to watch. Oh my goodness, I would not do that today. It definitely does take a bit of honing or personality scrubbing a little bit to warm up to the camera and to warm up to the people that are on the other side of the camera who want to see you find geocaches or learn more about your personality or whatever. So yeah, it definitely does take some practice for sure.
Listen, I know what you're talking about. I know when I listen back to early episodes of this podcast, which I do from time to time, just as a little reminder of how far we've come, and some would say how far we still have to go. And I do. I cringe. I really cringe that I can't believe we put that out there for other people to listen to. I don't know what I was thinking of. So when you're making your videos, I guess you have to be a little bit careful. You're not going to give away too much about the location because this is the one thing I found since using the app. You don't want to leave spoilers for people, do you?
Well, that's kind of a catch-22 with these things. Is you want to show a geocache, and a lot of times geocaching is about the location, not necessarily the geocache itself, but sometimes it is just the geocache. But anyway, what you don't want to, perhaps from watching my videos, you probably see that I like to find and film what's called a gadget cache, which is like maybe a puzzle box or a birdhouse that has a lock on it, or you have to do some kind of special something to it, which is my favorite kind of geocache to find and to put on my YouTube channel. Now, I like to show you what it looks like, to admire and maybe to inspire people that are watching it that they can build their own geocache like this, or maybe they have one in mind already, but they didn't think of a puzzle, or maybe they can put their own spin on a container of some sort. So I like to do that, but I don't show like the lock combination or dead giveaways or something like that to spoil it 100%. I want you to be inspired by this geocache that I'm going to, that was created by somebody, which is their labor of love. I want you to go and visit it, but I don't want you to know how to get into it 100% just by watching my video. So I try not to do that. Now, and many times I've had to contact the geocache owner to get the okay to film and put it on YouTube. And once I get that okay, then we're all good to go. And there's only been a couple of times that I've been told, no, we don't want you to film our geocache. We want it to be more authentic than, we don't want somebody to see it online before they go out there. That's been very, very small percentage of people that have done that.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah. I mean, I kind of get that take, a little bit, but at the same time, it's a shared thing, and if somebody who's watching your videos like I have, I've seen some of those things that you're solving these puzzles and thinking, I wish I was in Illinois or wherever you are right now, because I'd love to get out there and do that. The stuff that we found so far has all been pretty basic, if I'm going to be really honest. And that first one was quite exciting that we did.
Sure.
So we, like I say, we took a walk literally around the corner from the house. Me, my wife, and my two kids. And I was round at this point. Obviously, your first one, you don't know what you're looking for. So I'm crawling around on the floor, trying to find out what it is. My daughter's down, and son's got no interest in it whatsoever. But my daughter's down crawling around on the floor with me. In the end, like my wife goes, "Do you know there's a funny little black magnetic thing stuck to there?" I was like, "What?" Yeah, I picked it up 10 minutes ago and put it back. I don't think that's what we're looking for. It's like, got a feeling it might be.
Yeah, it probably was, wasn't it?
It's exactly what it was. Yeah. So this wasn't anywhere near as extravagant as the things you're looking at, but it absolutely blew me away that something that is literally, only a little bit larger than the head of a screw could be something that we're looking for. And that's the thing; they come in all shapes and sizes, don't they?
They do. They do. In fact, if you don't mind, I do have some geocache containers here. Would you like to see some?
I'd love to. I'd love to.
Would you talk about shapes and sizes here? How about this one here? This looks like an Oreo cookie.
Oh, yeah.
This is made by a friend of mine who 3D printed it. Just open it like this here, and you put the log in there. How about that, huh?
That is phenomenal.
I got one here that looks like this is 3D printed as well too. Looks like a bolt, but it's plastic, and it's got a magnet at the end of it. So you would just stick it to a bridge or something magnetic, and of course you unscrew it, and that's where the log sheet goes right there. Pretty neat. Here's just a standard, what they call a bison tube. You may have found some of like these already, perhaps. They're hanging in pine trees and things like that. Yeah, these are pretty common. I decided to have a little fun one time, and I was at the thrift store in the toy section, and I found this big, huge bumblebee. Yeah. And I put one of those bison tubes down here on his belly. So you'd unscrew that, and there's a piece of paper inside you sign. So I had him hanging in a tree. So when you came into the woods, he greeted you in the woods. So.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So there, I mean, like you say, out in the woods, you can do it rurally, you can do it urban wise as well. Which ones do you prefer? And how? I mean, a lot of the videos I've seen, you've been out sort of rural settings.
Yeah, it's a lot more easier for me to make videos in rural settings, so I can kind of be boisterous or maybe do several takes if I have to, or something to slow down and kind of see what's around me and include that in my video. Whereas if you're in a metropolitan area or somewhere like downtown or something, you could possibly have some eyes on you, and you kind of feel rushed a little bit. You don't want to be as loud as you normally may want to be. So those aren't my favorite types of places to shoot videos. Definitely out in the country is, and plus it's quieter out in the country as well. So there's that.
Yeah, and I guess that works better for your videos. So one of the things I did, when I first go in, I put together a little backpack of stuff to take with me, mainly snacks and drinks for the kids to try and keep them occupied. But a few little things like, so for the smaller caches, a pair of tweezers, what have you. So I took a Swiss Army knife and a few other stuff. What kind of stuff would you recommend to put in your backpack or my backpack or whoever's interested in taking part?
Well, that's going to vary from person to person. But mostly I would say flashlight is a pretty good tool to have. A magnet, especially if you can have a magnet that's on one of those telescoping pens. Those are awfully handy as well too with some geocaches. For me, what I carry around with me 100% of the time, especially in the summer, is sunblock. Now that has nothing to do with finding a geocache, but man, it certainly helps me not get a sunburn up here on the dome. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
I could do without myself.
yeah, but other people carry things like tweezers are awfully nice to have for little small containers, like the bison tube here. Sometimes the paper might get stuck inside of a small small tube or something, you need a pair of tweezers to pinch it and pull it out. Like I said, flashlight. There's all sorts of tools like that. In fact, we call them TOTS, which stands for Tool of the Trade, TOTT.
Like it.
Yeah. And another one that I would like to mention is a ladder. Now, how are you going to carry a ladder in your car? Well, geocachers have we have found places to buy ladders that collapse down to like maybe a foot or two, and when you uncollapse them or extend them, I guess they're 12 feet long. I can carry it in the back of my car, no problem, and I can get those geocaches that are 10 feet up a tree without any issue.
And well, I've noticed this. One of the things that and actually, when you see the artwork that we've done for the episode when it goes out on the audio, which is where most people find us, we do find a few people watch the videos, but most people will listen to it. The artwork I've done is the host of the podcast and you perched on top of our shoulders, getting something out of a tree. How much stuff is high up in trees?
It varies from location to location. Whoever's in that area that hides in that area, it can vary. There's more stuff up in those trees than you think. That's for sure. Sometimes it can be up on top of a bridge where you can't get to it from the side of the bridge. Maybe it's too dangerous. So you go down the path that's down below, and now you have no way of getting up there at all. That's where a ladder would come into play, or maybe a golf ball retriever. It folds down to maybe 5 feet, but extends to 25 feet. You can knock it down that way. I have one of those as well. So yeah, there's a lot more up in those trees than you think.
No, I mean, there's some good advice there for people, who are going to take some stuff out, some ideas of things to take with them if they're going to give it a go. So you mentioned there earlier about your favorite being the puzzle ones. For those people out there who've never done geocaching before, did you want to tell us a little bit about the different types of geocache that there are available?
Well, different types. Oh my goodness. There's I would say, I know some of my geocache friends that are watching are probably going to call me out on this, but I would say 5 or 6 main types of geocaching. There's the traditional, the multi, the virtual geocache, the puzzle geocache, a letterbox style geocache, and an earth cache, which would probably be the top 5 or 6. And all of those are different in a different way. They have different qualities about them, or different ways you have to go about finding them, or different things that you're looking for. For example, the traditional is the most populous geocache style there is in the world. Those the green one that you find on the map, the green pin. That's basically saying the geocache is at that location, go find it. Whereas a multi-cache is the orange one that's on there. You go to that spot and it takes you to another spot, or maybe a third or fourth, or maybe in the case of some of them, 30 different spots before you get to the final location. So that's multi-staged. There's a blue question mark style that's on the map called a puzzle or a mystery cache, which includes a massive variety of different things. It could be a puzzle that's on the geocache page, or it could be a puzzle that's in the field that you have to solve, or it could be a challenge that you have to qualify for, such as finding 100 geocaches in one day before you can actually make the find on this particular geocache. So there's several different varieties that I'm not mentioning, but I would like to mention the earth cache, since it's a little different. With an earth cache and a virtual geocache, those two, you're not looking for a container at all. You're looking for, with an earth cache, you're looking for an earthly feature. It could be a waterfall, it could be a boulder or a rock that was left there by a glacier, it could be a river, a bend in a river, or an oxbow, whatever, some kind of earthly feature. And on the cache page, the owner is asking you to provide information about that location to prove you were there. So you go there, and typically you'll take a picture of yourself there to prove it, and then you'll also answer their question that they've given you about that location, and then you can claim the find. Whereas with a virtual geocache, it's very similar, but it doesn't necessarily have to do with the earth. It could be of anything that's at that location, such as maybe a memorial, or scrap yard or something, a skyscraper or anything. And they typically bring you to interesting locations, though not always. So those are the main types of geocaches there are, and what people chase the most, I'd say.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. I mean, the ones I've done have been the traditional ones. I've maybe done, I think maybe about 20 now that I've, certainly far away from your tally that you have there. So, I mean, here's the question for me then. So those traditional ones, what's to stop me from being dishonest and saying I found it when I didn't? Because it seems to be reliant on a little bit of honesty. Don't get me wrong, I haven't done that. I can't see the point of doing it myself because you're there anyway, so you might as well have a good rummage and get your knees dirty.
Yeah. The only thing that's stopping you from doing that is what's in your heart. What's the point in claiming something that you've never found? I mean, I can do that right from my computer sitting here while I'm talking to you, but that doesn't give me the experience or anything that I've gotten from actually going to that location and seeing what's there and experiencing what the cache owner intended me to experience while I was there. It wouldn't have gotten me 41 states that I've been to in the United States. It wouldn't have gotten me to know the people that I do know from being at these places with other geocachers. So you're missing out on quite a bit by doing that, I'd say. And I mean, there's nothing stopping you from doing it, but you're not really getting anywhere by doing it either.
No. And that's what I like about it. There's that degree of trust and honesty there that is relying on people. And that says a lot then about the community in itself. Chronically Time Mom says nothing stopping you but maybe a good night's sleep if the guilt doesn't get you. Amen. I couldn't agree with that more.
Right
So
on.
one of the so yeah, so in terms of yourself, you've done thousands and thousands of finds. I've now, like I say, I've only done 20 or so, but I've had a couple of did not finds. Okay. So the DNFs that you can also log. So as I was saying to you, Friday night, I was up in a place called Preston, Lancashire, and I was watching. I've been there to watch the football. I was sat outside the ground, or soccer, sorry, I should say to our American audience.
Yeah, yeah.
Football, as we call it here in the UK. So I was away with Stoke City, and we were going to watch the football. We were waiting for the turnstiles to open. I thought, wow, man, I'm going to click on that app. And like I said to you in the green room, about 15 yards away, right in front of us, we've just been stood next to the Tom Finney statue, who's a famous ex-player of Preston North End. Fantastic statue there. We've just been enjoying it with my daughter. And then, wow, that's literally, there's a geocache on there somewhere. Annoyingly, I didn't find it, but I didn't log it because I thought it's match day. First of all, I don't want to be crawling around on the floor looking like a lunatic and then not let in. I mean, 'cause, the people who the stewards and the people at the ground staff there might not know what geocaching is. The other did not find that I had, like I say, Westport Lake. I went round it. There was 9 there. I found 8 of them. The other
Okay.
one could not find it. We were there for a solid half hour on this bridge, up on top of the bridge, underneath the bridge, crawling all around it. I've got 2 young kids trying to keep them away from the canal that it was near as well, but at the same time, not wanting to give up. But I checked the app and it had been found that morning, so I knew it was there somewhere. I just
Hmm.
hadn't found it myself. And then there was the one that I did log where near where we are, we have something called the salt line. So it's an old railway track that is now a walking path. It was used in the 70s for moving salt around because the area where we're based is rich in salt. So it's called the salt line. We found one, and then got a bit further down, could not find it. And had a look at the logs there, and there was lots of comments saying how it couldn't be found and yada, yada, yada. I think the guy had relocated it. So I did log that one because I thought, I'm pretty confident if it was here, I was there for a solid hour looking for it. I don't like to give up. So what about your DNS? Which is your most frustrating ones?
Oh my goodness. Well, doing this for, oh, geez, 15, 16 years now. Yeah, sure. I found 24,000 plus, but geez, I've probably did not find or DNF'd probably a couple thousand, I'd say, at least definitely more than 1,000. And I can tell they really bother you, the DNFs. That's the ones that stand out the most in your mind, for sure. But the ones that bother me the most are the ones that you kind of keep an eye on, maybe after you've been there and you're like, I didn't find it, and you keep an eye on it. and somebody else comes up with a lot less finds, like maybe a person like yourself or somebody that's newer and says, "Oh yeah, I found it right away." I'm like, "Now wait a minute here. How did I miss that?" And there's been times where I've gone back out and sure enough, I missed that and they didn't. It just maybe you had a bad day, or maybe you were thinking something else that they weren't, or vice versa, or something, and it happens for sure. It's just part of the game. And when you say when you do not find something but you logged it, you can, yes, you can log your do not find on the geocache, which is very good. It helps the community know that it may not be there, or it may be tougher than anticipated, or it lets the cache owner know that maybe there's a problem with their geocache. So it's good to log those too.
Yeah, I read about that, and I thought, the one that I did choose to log, there are a number of people had logged to say before. Another guy said had found that it wasn't where it was supposed to be; it was elsewhere, and it was lying down. It wasn't stood up. So I thought, you know what, I am going to log this one. So if somebody's monitoring it, then they can come out and hopefully correct it. One thing I haven't done though is been back on to have a look, see if it's been found since. That's eating away at me. The second I'm done recording tonight, you know what I'm going to be doing, don't you?
I think I do. Yeah.
Amen. Amen. So the stuff that you find when you're out there, so there's a code of ethics, isn't there? That if you take something away that's been left, you leave something of equivalent value or more, don't you?
Yes, it's called swag, or SWAG is stuff we all get. I don't know if that's something over there in the UK or not, but that's the acronym for that. And it could vary from just cheap little toys and trinkets, a pin, anything, or it could be something like gift cards, which are rare. Mostly it's stuff of low value, but every now and then you run into something that's got some value to it. And I mean, I guess value is relative to each and every person. It varies from person to person. But I mean, I found sets of batteries in there that I could have used for my GPS at the time, and that was pretty valuable that day. And I
Yeah.
found small, $5 gift cards to the local coffee shop or something a couple times, and things like that. But for me, geocaching isn't about the swag or trading items. It's more about just experiencing the location, going out for the thrill of the hunt, making friends, and finding the geocaches, and of course shooting videos and things like that if the situation warrants it. But for other people, and there are many people that I do know, that trading the swag is what geocaching is about. They love and live for that. They carry around little plastic containers of little toy trinkets and bouncy balls, little army men, and they just love it. And it's usually kids, but not always. Usually kids that love to just open an ammo can up or a larger container and just love trading the swag in there. They'll take something out, and whatever they take out, they got to put it in something of equal or greater value. And it's just really, it varies from person to person, but some people would absolutely really love it.
Yeah. Well, interesting enough. So chronically tired mom comments, it's so disappointing to my little man to find an empty ammo can geocache, always trade an item, not just taking. Yeah. So one of the things I did was before we started, I got a job lot of little key rings that I could leave behind. But when we got to one, which is not too far away from my house, I have to say I was quite surprised. I don't know if you can make that out there, but that is
Mhm.
my daughter holding
Oh, okay.
a crisp £10 note that someone had kindly left behind, and that
Oh,
I know. I opened up this tub and there's money in there, and I thought, I feel a little bit guilty about taking it, so I left plenty behind so that people could, could help, and it, more than £10 worth behind is all I have to add. But I thought, whoever put that there, what is somebody else to find it and bring some joy in? I tell you what, it gave my daughter a lot of joy to find that.
yeah. There's another fellow that makes geocaching videos who inspired me to get out there and do it myself. His name is Joshua. He's been around for a long time. Many geocachers know who he is. Very popular geocaching YouTuber. And I believe it was him a few years ago decided to just give back to the geocaching community. I think he went out and placed a $20 bill and made a video about it and said, if you know where this geocache is, come get it. It's got 20 bucks in it, and it's just something I wanted to do. We do that with little trade items and little signature items and things like that. I have a few here if you don't mind me showing.
I'd love to.
Um, Now we haven't really touched on the topic of coins and path tags and stuff, but here's an example of a coin, and it's shaped like a guitar head, as you can see,
Yeah.
and it's made of metal. It's got a certain little tracking code on the bottom here that I'm not going to show you because it's special code. But these are coins that have some value that we like to put into geocaches and trade and watch them go around from geocache to geocache. And here's another one that celebrates 25 years of geocaching, which was this past summer. So there's coins like this that you can um, use for swag. Um, the monetary donation, like you said, sometimes you'll find money, and it's pretty rare that you find $10 or 10 pounds in a geocache, let alone maybe even $1. But I'll tell you, Adam, there are sometimes coins in those geocaches, and we take those coins. There's a group of us out here that take those coins, and we like to save them for a year, and we don't make that donation as a group to childhood cancer. And it's something that we and another geocacher that I know, a good friend of mine named Neil, we started doing that probably 4 or 5 years ago. And we go on there on a podcast every year at the end of the year, and we make a donation, as well as other people that have also collected throughout the year. And we call it Coins for Kids. And we like to make that donation, and everybody else likes to make that donation to help the kids out as well too. So geocaching isn't just about finding geocaches or exploring new areas, but we also do the coins for kids. Some of us do the coins for kids, and we also host what's called a CITO, which is CITO, stands for Cash In, Trash Out, which where it's a location-based event where you can go there and you can pick up trash or pull invasive species in forest and flower beds or fix up playgrounds or whatever the task may be at hand. So we're out there not only finding geocaches and making videos, but we're also out there helping to better the game board and leave the world a better place than we found it when we got there.
That's fantastic. That really is fantastic to hear. You
Mhm.
know, I love it when I hear that people use their hobbies or their platforms or whatever it is just to do, living for the greater good as it is, you know what I mean? Doing something that they don't have to do, but they
Mhm.
want to do just to make a difference. And I think that that's fantastic to hear. And do you know what? I'm going to do that myself. So in terms of whatever we find this year, when it comes to the end of the year, we'll donate that to a we have a local cancer charity here. Actually, my mum's the trustee of, or used to be the trustee of it, I should say. And yeah, I think it'd be the right thing to do that. That's fantastic. So fair play to you.
Perfect. Thank you. That's awesome.
So those coins then that you found, tell us a little bit more about those. The guitar-headed one. What's the meaning of those, and where do you pick? Where would you go about picking one of those up if you wanted to leave one behind?
Well, this one here was I actually earned this one. You can say here it says Worldwide Cash Fest 2022 on it, and it
Mhm.
says Roadie right there. This came from an event that was held in Memphis, Tennessee. The event was Worldwide Cash Fest. We have what's known as mega events, which draw more than 500 people at the event. Sometimes they get into the thousands, and a couple times it's been way more than 5,000, 10,000. Say sometimes it's been out like that a couple times. But mega events draw people from sometimes all over the world, but definitely all over the country here. And part of mega events is the souvenirs, and this could be considered a souvenir for that event that day or that weekend in 2022 when I was down there. So in order to get this here one that's shaped like a guitar head, I had to volunteer at this event. I had to do some work. That's the only way I got this. The only way you could get this one was to volunteer. There were other coins like this that said Worldwide Cash Fest on it that you could buy, but this one here is special to me because I volunteered my time for the greater good of the geocaching community at that event, and so it kind of holds a special spot and brings back some memories of that day um, for that one. There's some other ones here that I'd like to show. This one here, let's see. Yes, this one here came from um, a local forest preserve district called the Byron Forest Preserve District. And if you flip the coin over, it's got a snake on the backside. It's just coppered in color. and it has the oak leaf and the snake on it. Now, what they do is they put out a series of geocaches around their forest preserves, and they got several forest preserves down there in Byron. And they put out geocaches where each geocache has a special code word inside of it. And you log each special geocache, the code word, take the geocache code word. When you have the full collection of code words, you take it to their office and you prove that you found them by showing them all the code words. And when you do that, they give you a special reward. So that's one of them. And there's several municipalities, counties, forest preserves, and things like that that are willing to have these minted to give away in exchange for you coming there and exploring their lands and things like that. So those that hold a lot of special meaning to me as well. When I can go to places like that and explore their land, find their geocaches, and get something cool like a coin. This one here I'm going to show you came from Belmont County, Ohio, which is at least a 10-hour ride away from me. And it's real shiny and it's got a Bigfoot on it. And back here, the colors is in the shape of Ohio, the state of Ohio. And once again, this county had, I think it was 25, 30 different geocaches in I had to find. And once again, code words in each and every one of them. And I was awarded this geocoin. So these are special mementos for me. You can buy these off of line. It just doesn't hit the same for me. And I don't think it's the same. I think a lot of people experience the same thing. It doesn't quite mean the same when you buy them. Although I have bought in several of them that have some meaning to them, but I really like to go out and earn these special tokens and things like that. And they do have a special code on them. Like I said, the special code on this one here, I'm gonna partially cover it up, but it's right here. There we are. There's like a 6 or 7 digit code there. So if I was to drop this into a geocache and then you were to come along and find it and you're like, oh, cool. This one here, it's got a code on it. And you put this code in to your app, you can see where it's been and you can see who owns it and you can see how many miles it's traveled. And then you take this and you go and put it in another geocache. And it sits there until somebody else comes along, picks it up and does the same thing. So these things have potential to put on tens of thousands of miles, maybe even sometimes hundreds of thousands of miles before, eventually there's a lifespan on these things. They get lost in people's duffel bags or in cars or whatever. And sometimes, unfortunately, people go, ooh, that's a nice coin. That coin's mine now. Unfortunately, that does happen. And that's why I like to keep mine here at my desk so I know if that doesn't happen. And I like to keep my memories right here with me. But these are traveling, what they call travel bugs. But these are geocoins. Here's a special one that I got from my friend in New York. He lives on Long Island, not too far from New York City. And this one here has let me see, has part of Long Island on it, and there's the logo. There's a lighthouse there, and there's on the backside here's some other stuff. Signal the Frogs on there. So this one here was a gift that was given to me. So it definitely holds some value as well. And one more thing I'd like to mention. There's a fellow who makes geocaching content by the name of Cache the Line, and he's from Canada. And he's in the last year or maybe longer than that, has been designing these cards. And they're like playing cards called Cache Hunters. And these cards are collectible. And this here is a set that I got from him that have to do with dinosaurs. It's kind of hard to see with the glare, but there's different different dinosaurs on all these cards. And let me tell you, this guy designs these and has these printed up. You can buy them from his store and you can leave these as swag or you can collect them like I'm doing with my coins. And he has more than, I think, 400 different cards you can collect now, which all have different subsets and different collections and things like that, depending on what you want to collect. So yeah, there's a lot of different stuff out there it's a lot more than just finding pill bottles and bison tubes and bushes and pine trees. And when you really start digging down deep, it's a lot about friendships. finding collectibles, making collectibles, and things like that. That's what the heart of geocaching is for people like me that stay around for a long time.
Yeah, I think there is a real feeling of community out there, isn't there?
Oh yeah, for sure, there definitely is. Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, those coins, I think I would same as yourself, I'd want to keep hold of something like that. But,
Hmm.
I'd love to find one and have the opportunity to pass it on. I don't know how popular they are in the UK, so if anybody listens to this or is watching this now and is based in the UK, then please reach out and let me know how, what are the chances of me coming across one for me to then be able to pass it on and hide it elsewhere. I'm doing a tour of the country in May, in a couple of months' time, but we're starting off in London and we're going up through Windsor, Stratford upon Avon, York, and then finishing in Scotland and Edinburgh over 10 days. With my cousin's coming over from Texas and a couple of his friends. And yeah, I don't know yet, but we're probably going to do a little bit of geocaching in each of those locations. Don't you worry about that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, in terms of the other aspect, then as well of finding, obviously, to be able to find something, it has to be hidden in the first place, doesn't it? Have you hidden geocaches? I'm guessing you may very well have.
Oh yeah. In fact, I've got one in my garage right now that I'm getting ready to put out here the next couple of weeks. But yes, I've hidden over the course of 15, 16 years, over 400 of them, I'd have to say. And a lot of them, like I say, have a shelf life. They don't last forever. Sometimes the location you put them isn't a good location and it keeps getting stolen or muggled, as we call it. And sometimes the container just doesn't last, or perhaps you move locations, you pack up and you move your residence a long way away where you can't do maintenance on those things anymore. But I probably got a couple hundred of them out there still alive and well, and some of them have been out there for probably almost all the 15 years. They get kind of old, and if you place them the right way and maintain them, yeah, they can stay around for quite a while. Yeah.
So, when somebody finds one of your highs, do you get a notification?
Yeah, you get an email. You certainly do. Whatever they type into that found it box, and when they click submit, whatever you type in that goes to their email.
Oh, cool. Oh, it
Yeah.
makes me regret some of the daft stuff I've written in it now already. There's some people who get some really pointless emails.
Yeah. The do not finds also go to your email too. So
Oh, that's useful. There you go. So at least I've done one thing useful while I've been geocaching. That's good to know. Well,
yeah.
funnily enough, it's just been Mother's Day over here in the UK. And one of the things that I bought my wife, actually, because she's been enjoying it so much, is a little geocache container for her to hide it. Now, I don't have it with me, but it's very similar to the plastic bolt that you showed earlier. But this is a metal bolt. And it looks like, you can attach it to a fence, because that was the second one that we found here in Alsager, where we live, which is a tiny little town in the south of Cheshire. It was this bolt, and it's a sign that I must have walked past. I've lost count. I couldn't even put a figure on it. I go past that sign all the time. I've probably even seen this bolt. I probably looked at this bolt as I passed it by and thought absolutely nothing about it. And it blew my mind. I've been down, I looked at it, and this is annoying. So the first time we went out, we did the geocaching. I think of the 5 that we found, the wife found all 5, which didn't sit very well with me. But as you can tell, I got a bit of a competitive streak. So yeah, so I bought one of these bolts for Mother's Day, and I'm looking forward to going out there and hiding it out there. I've just got to pick the right location, or obviously it's the wife's gift, so she gets to pick the location. But there are all sorts of sizes. So tell us about the different sizes as well, then, because whenever you go on the app and it tells you about the different size of things that you can find, there's a number of different things, isn't there?
Yes, there's it ranges from micro and it goes up from there. There's micro, smalls, regulars, and then larges is basically your sizes. There's also a size that's not chosen. I don't know if you can make not chosen anymore or not, but you can when you type up your cache page, you can say, I'm not going to tell you the size of this geocache. It's not chosen, which kind of adds another element of surprise or challenge to it. So a micro would be something like this bison tube or something similar. That's micro size. This could be a micro. This bolt here that I got. This here, this could also be a micro. It's getting a little bit large for a micro, but like a sandwich container would be a small or so. And then up from there, there's ammo cans. They're like this that are considered regulars, or maybe a screw top peanut butter jar or something like that would be a regular. And then up from there would be like a 5-gallon bucket, or maybe a larger container, not quite, maybe too large for peanut butter, but too small for something large. So that would be a large container. And they even have what's called nanos, and that's not an official size that's on the geocaching app or website, but in the community, we know that a nano is even smaller than this. And I'm talking, Adam, I'm talking a nano. Hang on a second. A nano would be, it's usually magnetic, if not always magnetic. A nano would be about the size of this lid,
Yeah.
or about the size of my pinky fingernail. That's a nano.
Well, that was the first one that we found, was the nano
Ah,
like that. Yeah, that was stuck onto, well, actually, I nearly won't say where it is, actually. But yeah, just around the corner, and that's exactly what it was. It was tiny, minuscule. And to be fair, for me to even be able to write on the piece of paper in there, I'm a big guy and I'm pretty cack-handed. And yeah, it was a challenge just to be able to write on the paper that we'd been there.
yeah.
But
Even more challenging is when you unroll that thing to put your name on it. The real challenge starts is you got to roll that thing back up. You know what I'm talking about, and to put
I
it
do.
back in the container. Yeah, that's the real challenge there.
Yeah, every single one of those I've given the wife. You need to sort this out. My big sausage fingers are no bloody good for that kind of thing. I don't mind telling you. So, in terms of geocaching, then you've done 41 states. What's the holy grail? What's the one place that you want to visit, that you want to go geocaching?
That I haven't been to.
Yeah,
Does it have to be United States, or can it be anywhere in the world?
it'd be anywhere in the world, my friend.
Okay, well, I've never been overseas to Europe at all. So when somebody says that, my first instincts is to come over to your part of the world there, to London or England area, and visit all the history that you guys have there that predates a lot of the stuff that we have here in the United States. That's for sure. So I definitely want to go over there, to Europe, London, England, France, perhaps, and also what also piques my interest in is Australia, which is a complete opposite way for me. But Australia definitely is pretty exotic in my mind anyway. I know some folks from Australia, and good friends with some people from Australia, um, that have a lot of stories about things that happen there, and the way life is there. So I definitely want to go to Australia and find some geocaches as well too. Those would be my top spots there if I didn't have to pick something in the United States for sure.
The one thing I will say about geocaching in Australia, anyway, is, well, not just Australia in general. My reason for not going there is, I'm absolutely petrified of spiders out there. They are absolutely huge, but they ain't the ones you got to worry about. It's the little ones. There's all sorts of things in Australia that can kill you. Pretty much everything out there can kill you. So if you do go out that way, do be careful.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Everything wants to kill you in Australia.
Amen. Yeah, amen. And if you do ever find yourself over in the UK, be sure to drop us a message here. We'd love to meet up with you. We'd love to go geocaching with you. We'd love to be a part of that. The guys who,
Absolutely.
yeah, guys who should have been on the episode tonight, he's downloaded the app as well, and he's really looking forward to having a go at it. He just unfortunately was tied up with family matters tonight, and he wasn't available to be free. Let me know the last minute, the little tag, but I'll let him off. He's only next door, so I'll pop over and see him a little bit later. I know he will be joining this episode if he is. He is indeed watching it. So, of the places that you've visited, then, which is the most memorable?
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's a loaded question. I mean, it can be memorable for several reasons. It could be memorable for the location itself. It could be memorable for the geocaches itself. It could be memorable for something that happened on the way there or on the way to and from. So I'm going to kind of try to give my best answer for that. But I would say, just being put on the spot, something that's memorable for me was the first geocache I ever found in the state of Florida. And that was because I was on vacation with my family. And it was one of those virtual geocaches I talked about earlier. And all I had to do was take a picture of myself in front of Cinderella's castle. That's all I had to do to claim that one. That was my first geocache in the state of Florida while on vacation with my family, and I haven't been back since. That was in 2019, so it hasn't been that entirely long, but it's not somewhere I get to a lot, but definitely a magical place, as they say. But that was for the location. For the geocaches, I would have to say, if I was to go somewhere memorable for geocaches, would be, again, I talked about North Dakota. And North Dakota, there's a little town there called Gilby, North Dakota, which is only like 250 people, all farmland. It's just a small little railroad town out in the middle of nowhere. But the fellow there that makes geocaches makes some incredible puzzle boxes and gadget caches. They're just a load of fun to play with. In fact, I've been there twice, experienced most of them twice. One time was by myself, and another time was to watch other people experience them. And yet I find myself sitting here, 700 miles away, which is about a 10 or 11 hour drive. I've been there twice, and I'd go back again for sure. And one more other location that was really fun that I was at last year was um, Berkeley County, West Virginia. Again, there's a fellow there who makes incredible birdhouse style geocaches that I'm putting up on my channel over the past several months. I made so many videos when I was out there. It's crazy, and I'm still putting them up. So my most recent videos are usually from that trip that was last year. But yeah, those are some of the most memorable spots for sure, as far as geocaches go.
That's cool. Yeah, I think when Scott was on, he mentioned Gilby. It was Gilbyville, sorry, in oh, I forget, in one of the Dakotas. I forget which one he just said now. Sorry, but yeah, that was. I'm sure that's one of the places that he mentioned, and that was, that's piquing my interest now. That is piquing my interest. I don't know when my next visit to the States is going to be,
Yeah.
but
Well, the fellow you talked about earlier, the Tricassius Chad 8636, that's the fellow I'm talking about. He's the one that makes those things, and he does an incredible job.
okay, okay. Well, you certainly said his name better than I did. I made a pig's ear of that, so I apologize. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not even going to try and repeat it, but I apologize for not being able to say your name correctly. So, in terms of the folks out there who might be listening to this for the first time and thinking about geocaching for the first time, what would be the best piece of advice you could give them?
Well, first of all, give it a shot. Get out there and try. Grab yourself a pen. Make sure you got a pen. That's one of those tools of the trade, I guess you certainly always want to have. We discussed earlier, but get yourself a pen and go out there and just give it a try. Nothing happens unless you give it a try. You never are going to be any good at anything unless you start and practice, of course. And a lot of these, once you find a few, you kind of start going, oh, I think you know what I'm talking about. Oh, okay, I see what's going on here. And being 20 or 25 finds in that you're at, you're still going to find quite a few spots where you approach a location and you're like, boy, they could have hit it here or there. I don't know how to expect. And even for somebody like myself or somebody that's even more advanced than myself, we still run into locations like that. But my number one bit of advice is just make it happen. If you're interested in it and it's something that you like doing, whether it be going out and picking up trash or exploring a new state, area, or country, whether you're jumping on a cruise ship or taking a long road trip, look at the geocaching map and let that be your guide, because so many places across this great country of ours, across the world, there's geocaches at these places that you're probably already going to anyway. We're talking about the Statue of Liberty here in the United States, or Big Ben there where you're at, or even like the pyramids. There's probably geocaches there, either it be an earth cache or virtual, or maybe an actual container at these locations. So give it a shot, do it. Um, for me and for you, it's something that we enjoy, and the people that are here watching, it changes lives. I'll tell you that much. I'm a much different person, and I never thought I would be to 41 different states just looking for containers, let alone other countries as well too. So it can really change you. It can change the way you view things. It can change the way you look at the world around you. For example, that nano that you walked by many times and never even gave it a second thought, but I bet you think about it every time you walk by it now.
Amen.
Yeah,
Eh,
see it. Just go out there and make it happen.
That's great advice. The other piece of advice I'd add to that is actually to watch some of your videos, because one of the things I did, I watched a number of your videos, and and you gave those sort of tips to look at something that just sticks out, like, yeah, something isn't quite right here, something a little bit different about this location. And when I was approaching, and I had that in the back of my mind, and there's a couple of them I found when we were the ones around Westport Lake. I found within literally just being in there a couple of seconds. I sort of channeled your good self, and I thought, you know what, I bet it's under there, and that's exactly where it was. And I'm not gonna lie, it gave me a real sense of achievement. I was pretty damn chuffed with myself.
Yeah. In geocaching, we call that honing your geosenses. It's like a sixth sense you have. A sight, and it's a sense for sure. It's something you definitely acquire after a while.
Yeah. So in terms of your YouTube channel, then what's next? What's next for you? What do you have in mind for your next videos that you're going to put together and put out there?
Well, I have a trip that I'm taking. It's about 4 or 5 hours away to one of those mega events I talked about earlier. We're expecting more than 1,000 people to probably come to this one. I'm guessing probably 1,500 people or something like that. But I already have a bunch of geocaches saved that bookmarked, I guess you could say, on a list that look interesting to me, that have a bunch of favorite points on them. That a favorite point is something you can leave on a geocache if you like it, or you say to other geocachers, this geocache has got something special to it, and you leave a like or a favorite point on it. So when a geocache gets a lot of favorite points, it draws people to like me to them to make videos or whatever. So I'm going there to shoot some videos and find some geocaches in the next few weeks. I have some summer trips planned to other big events, and yeah, we'll just go from there. Basically, I look for the geocaches that have a lot of favorite points or a lot of interest on them, and that's where I tend to gravitate to.
That's quite a good tip then. So don't tell us where you're going, but just how many people have favorited the ones that you're looking at going to?
Anywhere from hundreds, a couple of hundred, 300 maybe, down to sometimes. The sneaky part is sometimes a geocache that has maybe 20 favorite points on it, but is brand new. So you got to drill down a little bit more, and there's different websites we can use to do that. But it might have 20 favorite points on it, but it's only had 20 finders. So that's 100%. Everybody that's found it so far has given it a favorite point. Now that's something that if you just looked at the favorite points, you'd go, well, that's only 20 favorite points. But if you drill down the stats a little bit, you go, but that's 100%. Something is really special about that one. So using different tools and websites, that's how I determine where I'm going to go and look at the geocaches.
Ah, cool. That's some good advice. So what other websites are there out there then as well? So I've downloaded the Geocache app. You can
Mhm.
find that in the App Store on Android, and I'm sure it's exactly the sort of the Play Store, wherever it is, and the same on the Apple. And I think it's probably the same price from both. What other websites are there available then that you use?
Well, for stats and things like that, there's Project Jazz. I'm sorry, let me start again. Project-gc.com. All sorts of stats on there, and that's where I get a lot of my information from. If it's not from the geocaching.com site, it's from there. There's different puzzle sites and things like that, where cachesleuth.com will help you solve puzzles or maybe give you ideas for a puzzle you want to make, for example. There's numerous Facebook groups and things like that that'll give you help and things. And there's so many different websites. Geocaching Central is one of them. It's a hub there run by a friend of mine from New York that has all sorts of different information on geocaching, and she's got it all categorized by different things on there. And yeah, there's a lot of information out there on those websites, just those three websites alone, that'll give you a lot of what you need. And I'm missing some websites out there that are useful as well too. I don't think we have all day to discuss them all, but there's quite a few out there for sure.
Oh no, that's good. That's some really great advice for people who may be into it a little bit longer than me. Want to find out a little bit more information, because literally everything I'm hearing about, I'm learning as I'm going. And that's the thing. It's, the basics of it is really, really simple, but there's a little bit to it. And like you say, There's statistics on that geocache app. There's all sorts of information that you can dig down into. And if you are a fan of American sports like I am, then there's a good chance you enjoy your statistics as well, because those two things go hand in hand.
Yes, they do.
So we normally wrap these things up round about the hour mark, but before we let you go, I need you to give a shout out to our listeners, and we will put a note in the show notes. We'll put a list in there, a link that people can click on and can find your videos. But did you want to tell people where you can be found on social media and where you can be found on YouTube?
Yeah, Geocaching with Halemeister on YouTube. You can just search for Halemeister or Geocaching with Halemeister on Google. Will bring you there as well too. So Geocaching with Halemeister on YouTube is my main channel. I'm on Instagram, Geocaching with Halemeister, TikTok as well. Same name there. And I feel like I'm forgetting one. I said Instagram, didn't I? Geocaching with Halemeister. Oh, and Facebook. Geocaching with Halemeister on Facebook as well. So I have all those social channels there you can follow me on, and hopefully be inspired by some of my travels and geocaches and other people that I come in contact with that also like geocaching, and maybe make your own geocaches or go out and do like you've done and start geocaching yourself.
That's it. Hopefully, because interestingly enough, we've, in terms of the guests that we have on this podcast, it's quite an eclectic mix. Last week we could have been talking to a police officer. The week before, we're talking to a guy who makes oatcakes. The week after that, we'll be talking to somebody who does something entirely different. Or, there's no rhyme or reason to really what we do with our episodes. But one of the things we do tend to do is cover off every now and then. We'll talk to people who've got specific hobbies, like yourself, if we can call it a hobby. And this is the only one that ever, in 320 plus episodes that we've done it, and then I've gone away and I've done it myself, and I've done it again, and I've done it again, and we're planning to do it again this Saturday. We're going to Delamere Forest, which again is, I think it's about a 45-minute, an hour drive away from where we are. It's a wiener dog walk. That was the wife's idea, you know what I mean? The geocache will be out, and I'm going to be putting my hound's finely tuned senses to hopefully try and find these things. I don't imagine I'll be any good at it, to be honest. But yeah, this is a thing you can do absolutely anywhere and everywhere. And I'm so glad that, that you've freed up the time for us, that Scott's freed up the time for us. And we have another episode planned again in a few weeks' time. And it's wonderful. I love hearing people who are passionate about their, passionate about the things that they are, whether it's their career, whether it's music, or whether it's, I don't want to call it a hobby. It seems wrong to call it a hobby.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying for sure.
Yeah. It just seems like there's a little bit more to it than that.
Yeah, there is. I mean, you can make it what you want. You can make it just going out and finding things. And there are a lot of people that do just make it that. That's all they do, is they just go out and find things, keep to themselves, and that's what they want. Or you can go out. Some people just hide things. They don't find many things at all, and they really enjoy building and hiding and showing their creative side. And some people are like me, that are kind of an eclectic mix of all those things. So yeah, we're a kind of a wild bunch, I guess you could say.
Indeed, but I can tell you one thing, that Oreo that you have there, if my daughter ever to find that, it would be very difficult to get her to leave it behind. She would absolutely love that.
Yeah, awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah. But no, thank you very much for freeing up some of your time. I've really enjoyed talking to you this evening. I think that I hope that people go out there and give it a go, because I know that they'll really enjoy it. If you're thinking about doing it, the best advice, like you gave earlier, just go out there and do it, because I guarantee you'll get something out of it. So that just leaves it to me to say, Halemeister or Jason, thank you very much for joining us tonight. And
thanks you to the Tall Boy Radio podcast for having me on. It's been a great time talking about geocaching with you.
No, I've really appreciated it. I've really enjoyed it. And we will be back next week when we'll be talking about something entirely different altogether. Good night.
Friends around the mic, kicking back, all right. Day turns into night, podcast in the spotlight. Sipping on that brew, talking all